Hi, welcome very much to the Art of Purpose and the for the Summer of Purpose speaker series. I'm Gayla, and I am really excited to share with you some very awesome and inspiring women to join us in this conversation. And we are going to start off with showing you a little bit of what our agenda is going to look like moving forward. So we have quite a bit planned here for every Tuesday coming up here through August. And I will be, there is a link that you will be able to access to check out the speaker series that we have, a little bit more about these wonderful women. So that will be something that you can check out. And then also the other piece is we have an ebook that can help through this process and this journey, assist us a bit. And you can also access that through the link that is provided either, I think there's one showing for you now, and also at the end, the video, there will be a link that you can access the e-guide as well. So there's some good information there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in just a little bit as to how you can use that. So check those out if you don't have that already. So I am Gayla, and I am an artist based in Anchorage, Alaska, and I am very passionate about exploring and creativity, and not just in the artistic realm, but however, in the inner realm and landscape as well, because I do find, and I have been watching and on the journey of seeing how judgment and self-criticism can really impact how we create and live life and move forward. And I've been something that I'm very aware that is important for me to address, and I want to be able to share and talk with others about that as well, to see if that helps on your journey too. And just being able to pay attention to ourselves and being able to move forward a little bit more peace and contentment, coming from a more of a heart space and learning how to come from there versus living in our heads and the head space so much. So thank you for joining me, because I believe gathering in community actually is a part of this process is being able to stay in or practice being in a space of self-compassion. However, also being in community, because when we can talk and share and verbalize or with other friends and people, put thoughts outside of ourselves, then we are able to see ourselves a little bit clearer and go, oh, I wasn't where I was thinking that, or I felt that way. Or there's just different information that we get. And so the more that we can gather this information helps us to learn about ourselves. And so community is a big piece of that. And that's something that I'm working on for myself too, is being able to build more of that community and for myself too, to be able to share and explore with other people. And then the other piece that's really important, I believe, is the curiosity around this process, and being open to new things and educating ourselves. And because that is how we can really start becoming aware of what's going on in this mind realm, these little machinations that want to take over and make us think that that's who we are, when it's really not, and that we are something much more than the things that are going on up in our heads. And this is also giving us some space to really look at what some of our intentions, and being curious about what some of our intentions are, and what how we can look at things instead of, I tend to avoid the word goals. I like the word intention, because it feels it's softer and gentler. However, it also can be very strong, and something is like something we're checking in with ourselves and having a chance to listen to ourselves from a place of solidity and hearing ourselves and being able to set that intention, and then also being able to check in with ourselves and find out, is this really an intention that is purposeful for me right now? And is it, and why? And being able to question, because sometimes we come up with these intentions about being able to do things or go on a be physically or emotionally or whatever that expectation that we put out there is. And that necessarily, if we question that why, then maybe we come down to, well, wait a minute, that's really not my intention. That's someone else's belief or desire. That's not something that is heartfelt for me. So being able to really check in with what our intentions are. Christine, thank you for being here, Christine. I appreciate you joining me today. So yes, being aware of how we can set our intentions and letting go of, and then the other piece of that, when we set our intentions and put out some desires of what we might want to do or accomplish, is to be willing to set that vision of what we would like, and then being able to let it go, because life happens, stuff happens, and being able to respond to what's happening in the moment. And so that's very important in this process too, because I think if we set some intentions, we also be careful of setting the expectation that that's going to happen, because things change, life, and we feel about things differently or whatever happens. And so if we set up an expectation, then there's also that creation for suffering because of failure or whatever the labels we want to put on that. So being willing to set the vision, and then also being open to letting to see how life is going to really unfold for us. So meet ourselves where we are. So while we're doing this process and this journey together, and playing with being curious and checking in with ourselves around true desires and intentions, we are going to check in and really focus on the physical well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, and then also our creative experimentation. There's all these different foundations that build up this holistic wellness, and that is easy to start focusing too heavily on one, and then we forget about the others, and or not really be paying attention to any of them. And then the staying in balance, being able to have some balance around all these aspects and areas of our lives. And there may be some other areas that you want to address as well, whether they're financial or intellectual, education, that you can explore as well. And I believe all of the speakers that we have coming up, I think you will find how they all really work together. Yes, we have coming up next Tuesday. I'm really excited to share with you Lee Lubin out of Valdez, Alaska. She is a wonderful instructor and an exceptional yoga teacher. And she has a special gift for really touching people and teaching them how to access their inner teacher in a very special way. And I look forward to sharing that discussion with you next week. And then the following week, on the 25th of July, we've got Leah Campbell-Baditcher of the Art School joining us. And she is an artist, an author, and a master creativity coach. And she's also been and is one of my coaches as well. So I'm really excited to be able to have her here with us too. And then on the 8th, we have Jen Morrell from Jewel Wellness and Movement. And she is a heart-centered yoga and meditation guide. And she'll be talking about spiritual growth and how we can incorporate that into our lives. And she's here local in Anchorage, Alaska as well. So that'll be really fun and exciting to have her with me on the 1st of August. And so with the ebook, that is, if you don't have that already, go ahead and see if you can locate the links to access that at some point. However, I'm going to go ahead and address that there's a few things in there that I've talked about around setting the intentions and affirmations that I believe that in some realms, affirmations can feel like, like we're placating ourselves or we're maybe lying to ourselves sometimes. So there's some of the tools that I have found helpful for setting and finding some affirmations that work well for each of us, is to make sure that when you are coming up with and saying your affirmation to yourself, that you find a place of gratitude that you're coming from, that everything that we are talking and we want to incorporate and really sink in is really gets locked in when we have a positive emotion happening. And so when we can come to a place of gratitude and be in a space of open heart, a little more open-heartedness, and I hope that you've been able to at some point in your life feel that that warmness that you can get, and that groundedness that true gratitude and love feels like. And when you can access that space, that when we start talking to ourselves and saying the things that we want to incorporate into our lives more, then we give it that much more of a chance to get it locked in and solidified and work for us. Because those are the things that work through into our deeper consciousness, where our truth really lies. So, and then that is one of the things I wanted to mention too around that is Dr. Joe Dispenza does a lot of work with this, with that concept, and changing the way we think and believe. And I just thought I'd mention him as well, because he's been one of the instructors, teachers, educators out there that I have found very valuable. And so I thought I would share that as well. And I will probably put some links in somewhere where you can check that out if you're curious to look on that avenue. And the other piece around setting affirmations that I find helpful too, in saying statements to ourselves of the things that we want to really bring into at a different level, is EFT. And I've mentioned that in the ebook as well. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And there is a group out there called the Tapping Solution. And I will also provide links for them as well. And that the links for the Tapping Solution. And then also there's a chart that I will include. I'm going to show you a few right now just to get you started. And this is part of that piece of opening your mind a little bit, because this is where some of the work around self-care and looking at our thoughts and being a little bit more introspective, our mind wants to sometimes resist and negate some of these steps that we do and go, oh, that's silly, or I don't want to do that, or how is this even working? And so if there's a place that you can suspend some of that, become aware of and suspend some of those thoughts or beliefs that maybe be willing to see that maybe they're not true, and just practice and play. And this is part of that experimentation, because different things work for different people at different times of their life. And whereas maybe I've tried this a long time ago and I wasn't into it then, whereas I'm bringing it back more into my life now, and I'm really feeling more of the benefit of it. It's being open to the ebb and flow and trying things. I don't like to use the word try either, but however, being creative and open to seeing what happens. So with that, I was going to share a simple way of using the EFT. It's accessing the different energy meridians in our body. And there's a karate chop point on the side of our hand. That is one of the main points. And if you sit here and just chop on that, and if I said one of my affirmations of I trust myself. I love and trust myself. I love and trust myself, and sink into that. And, perhaps I'm doing this in a moment where I am not feeling that way very well or very much. And so this technique, you can use that with any thing that you want to, statement that you want to say or solidify or reprogram into your body. So that's kind of a simple, straightforward one. If you want to do more of the full, there is a guide that I will download or give you the link to that shows, and I'll just walk it through real quick. Just it's kind of a fun thing. So we start with our karate chop, and then we have, I'll take off my glasses here, side of the eye. And then we have under the eye, and we have under the nose, under the lips, and then we have right here, right next to our shoulders, in a little bit. And then I like to go this way, but you can do it from the side, just underneath kind of where your bra strap, or just a little bit below your armpit. And I like to do both at the same time. And then I end with the top of the head point. And you can say this, your affirmations, or if you're feeling low or particularly angry about something someday, you can say, even though I am feeling angry and frustrated, I completely love and accept myself. And being able to bring in this rewiring and giving yourself, and you can check in with yourself and see how you're feeling before you start. And then after you've done, then you can see how you feel. And generally, I can feel where I've settled down and come down a few notches. And so just doing that round several times is, listen to your body, listen to what's happening for you. This is all about checking in with yourself and seeing what works and isn't working. So those are some of the tools that can help us work with these affirmations and help us get a little bit more clear about some of our intentions or how we're, listening to ourselves, so that we can move through and be more creative and intentional about what we're choosing to do. And so the other piece of that too is just to give yourself that space to sit quietly and listen to yourself. And that's one of the really hard things for people to do, because it's easy to go, oh, you know what? I don't have time for that. I need to go do this, that, or the other thing. And the reality is that we really don't need, give yourself some space to just start small. You don't have to do this for a whole hour. Do it for 5 minutes. Even, start with just taking that one deep conscious breath. And if you just remember to do it once a day, awesome. However, you might find yourself remembering to bring it in multiple times a day and really going, wow, I can feel how that's benefiting me. And the other thing that has been very helpful is remembering to do these things that we're choosing, that we get to choose to do them, and doing them from a space of love and not from have-tos, shoulds, obligations, because all that energy, no matter what it is we're doing, is detrimental and creates more suffering and does not make us want to continue on with that project or that technique or whatever it is, or reading that book. Is remembering to make that choice, that this is an intention that I would want to educate myself, or I want to look at things a little bit differently, and work past that little sneaky mind in there. And the other piece is bringing in some ritual through this too. When you're sitting with yourself and having some quiet time, maybe it's out in nature. Nature is a wonderful place to also bring this in and connect with yourself, is to bring in that ritual of whether or not it be journaling for you, or if it's reading a book or reading parts of a book, because sometimes, you get what you need at any time. I like to open up a book sometimes and just see what the message is for that moment. There's breath exercises, different yoga and moving your body, going for a walk, huge self-care gift for yourself. It's easy to go, oh, that doesn't count. Yes, it does. Some meditation practices, if you're willing to, or if you're already doing that, bring that in and continue that checking in with yourself. And then also the statements of gratitude and coming back to that and doing that as many times a day as you need. So being able to create a space of conversation with yourself, as well as the community. And everything counts, just the little tiny bits, and that's where giving ourselves that credit for the things that we do, no matter how big or small they are, helps solidify this moving forward. As I recently said in a podcast, that our self-criticism is not helping us move forward. And so that is something to keep in mind here too. So yes, we have lots of things to work through and check in with. And just remember to be in, as much as you can, that practice of taking that breath and coming back into this moment, because really that is all that we have, is this present moment. Allow that mind to just let go of any of the thoughts or thinking that are happening. And if whatever pops up, just take note of it and let it go. And that's the start of paying attention to what's happening in our inner world. And I want to encourage others to be able to work with that, because I find that it is something that is very beneficial in continuing to create art, cook, gardening, work on a slideshow, a project, is being able to do it from that space of contentment and joy. And if it's something that you aren't content doing, making that choice that you're choosing to do this and not being stuck or a should. And just remembering that when whatever energy that we are doing, whatever we're doing, the energy that we bring into it is going to affect it. And so becoming aware of that. So with that being said, I believe I also want to let you know too, that if you have any questions, to make sure you put them in the comments or the chat, and that will get to me. And then, so at this point, if you have any questions, and in the future, going forward, make sure you put any comments or questions in there. I will get those and do my best to get them answered for you. And of course, you can reach out to me on the platforms as well. And then also you can go to my website, gayladesigns.com, also to access my email and yes, and be able to ask some more questions that way as well. So we have just a reminder to check out that ebook. And next Tuesday, we will be having Lee Lubin, which I'm very excited for. So make sure that you put that on your calendar, and we do have a Google Calendar also when you sign up for the ebook. So again, that'll help you keep track of everything. And I look forward to being on this journey with you. I'm doing it too. So that's where the being able to talk and share really is very valuable. So yeah, let's do this. I hope you can join in. And if you can't do it live, just watch the replays and participate where and however you can. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. And I will look forward to seeing you next week.